Welcome back guys. In this video lecture we will mainly discuss one of the important topic about the digestive system, that is salivary glands. So let's get started the salivary glands. But before discussing the salivary gland we must have an idea what is glands. So glands are basically the organs or cells that are mainly responsible to secrete, to produce and release a specific substance. Now these substances that perform a specific function in our body. Now this group of cell or organ, these are basically called as glands. Now on the basis of the duct we will divide the gland into two categories. The first one, that is endocrine glands, and the second one, that is exocrine glands. So the first one, that is endocrine gland. So what is endocrine gland? These are actually the glands release their secretion directly into the blood streams. So there is no duct is present for the secretion of these glands. So when these substance or these gland release their secretion, so they are directly enter into the bloodstream, and through the bloodstream they will move to their target sites. So such type of the gland they are called as endocrine glands. So endocrine gland, it is also known as ductless gland because they don't have any type of the duct through which their secretion move to a specific area or to a target sites. So that's why it is called as ductless gland. So here the example are mentioned. These are the adrenal glands that are actually the endocrine gland. The second one, that is thyroid glands, parathyroid glands. These are actually the example of endocrine glands. While the exocrine gland, these are actually the gland that secrete their products or secretion through the ducts. So here the specific type of the duct is present. So when these glands release their secretions, so these secretions that are basically moved through these duct. Now through this duct the secretion it will move to their specific location where their secretion perform a specific function in a targeted area or a specific location. So such type of the gland are called as exocrine glands. So exocrine gland are basically also known as ducted gland because here the duct is present. Now when these gland they are secrete their product or secretion, so through these duct they will move to their specific destination or location. So that's why it is called as ducted gland. So here the example is salivary glands. These are basically the exocrine gland. And so here we learn that salivary gland, it is basically belong to the exocrine category glands. So it means that the salivary gland, it is a ducted glands. So let's get started what the salivary gland is. So the first one, these are actually the shortest definition, that is the glands that are responsible to secrete the saliva. Saliva is actually a liquid substances that are secreted by these glands. So mainly the glands that are responsible for the secretion of the saliva, these glands are basically called as salivary glands. So why this gland it is called as salivary gland? So basically the words saliva, it is a Latin words, so which mean that salty liquids. So that's why this gland is called as salivary gland because it will secrete a salty liquids. So that's why it is called as salivary gland. If we talk about the organism, they don't have the salivary gland. So here the organism are mentioned here which does not possess the salivary gland. So salivary gland are basically absent in fishes, amphibians, and aquatic mammal. It will includes whales, etc. These are actually the aquatic mammal. So these organisms don't have a salivary glands. So in human basically the saliva, it is secreted by three pair of major salivary glands. So basically there are many types of the salivary glands. Some are majors and some are minor. So in human, these are actually the saliva, it is secreted by three pair of major gland and some minor salivary gland are also present in humans. So what are these major salivary glands and minor salivary gland? So the major salivary gland are basically the parotid glands. The first one, that is parotid gland. The second one, that is submandibular gland, and the third one, that is sublingual gland. So these are basically the major salivary glands, while the minor salivary gland, they will secrete a little amount of saliva, so that's why it is called as minor salivary glands. The largest contribution it will made by the major salivary glands. So here are some of the minor salivary gland, that is lingual mucus glands. The second one, that is lingual serous gland. The third one, that is buccal gland, labial gland, and last one, that is palatal gland. So these are basically the minor salivary glands. Now we will discuss here the major salivary gland, that is parotid gland, submandibular gland, and sublingual gland. We will discuss these three major salivary glands in details. So first of all, we will see the location where these three major salivary glands are present. So as we know that these are the three major salivary gland. The first one, that is parotid. This is the parotid gland. This is sublingual gland, and the third one, that is submandibular gland. So these are basically the major salivary gland. So here in this picture we will show here where these glands are located. So right at the front of ear, this parotid gland, it is present. So this is actually their duct. So basically they are exocrine gland. It means that these glands have a specialized duct through which their secretion move to their specific destination or target. So this is basically the parotid gland. The second one, that is the sublingual gland. So this is basically present at the lower side of the tongue. So this is basically the tongue, while this sublingual salivary gland, it is located below the tongue. So this is the location of the sublingual gland. While the third one, that is submandibular glands. Location of the submandibular, it is mainly the lower jaw. So here is this submandibular gland, it is located. Now let us discuss some more about the parotid gland. So the first major salivary gland, that is parotid gland. So this is actually the largest of all salivary gland. This point, it is very important. The largest salivary gland, this is the parotid gland. Now the second point, that is about the location where the parotid gland, it is present. So it is situated at the site of face, just below and the front of ear. So this gland, it is present in the facial region, just in the front of ears. This parotid gland, it is present. If we talk about the weight of the parotid gland, so each gland weigh about, this is 20 to 30 gram in adult. So this is about the weight of the parotid gland. So an adult stage or adult organism, it is about 20 to 30 gram in weight. So as we have already discussed that the salivary gland, they are basically the exocrine gland. It means that this salivary gland, it have a specialized duct through which their secretion move to a target area. So the secretion from these gland are emptied, or you can say filled, into the oral or buccal cavity through a specialized duct. This duct, it is basically called as Stenson duct. So this is the duct through which the secretion of the parotid gland, it will secrete it into the buccal cavities. So here the enzyme, the secretion that are mainly secreted, or the product that is mainly secreted by the parotid gland, it will contain enzyme. This enzyme, it is basically called as ptyalin enzyme. This is also known as alpha amylase enzyme. This enzyme, it is basically found in the secretion of the parotid gland. Now what is the function of this ptyalin enzyme? So this ptyalin enzyme, it is basically act on the starch and will convert the starch into the maltose. So this ptyalin, it is basically the enzyme that act on the starch. This is absent in the predator, as we have the predator, that is the lion and tiger. So next point, that is the poison gland of snakes, such as we have the snake, that is cobra snake, viper snake and krait. These are the snake. So in these snakes, the parotid gland, they are modified and form the poisonous gland of the snake. Sometimes viral infection of the parotid gland occur. Now the viral infection of this parotid gland, it is called as mumps. So this is a viral disease that is associated with the parotid gland. Now the next major salivary gland, that is submandibular gland. So this gland, it is basically also known as submaxillary gland or submandibular gland. So this is actually the other term used for this gland. So if we talk about the location, so this gland, it is mainly present at the lower side of the upper jaw. So this is the location where this submandibular or submaxillary gland, it is located. The next point, that is about the weight. So this is about 8 to 10 grams in weight. So the largest contribution of the saliva, it will made by the submandibular gland. So it will produce 70% of the saliva secretion. So largest contribution, it will made by the submandibular or submaxillary gland. Next point, that is about the name of the duct. So its secretion reach to the buccal cavity through a duct. Now this duct, it is basically called as Wharton ducts. So you should have to remember the name of the specialized duct, as in the case of the parotid gland, the Stenson duct is present, while in case of this submandibular gland, the Wharton duct is present, through which the secretion, it will move into the buccal cavity. Now this duct, it is basically 4 millimeter in size. So this is about the size of this Wharton ducts. Now this duct, it is basically often at the site of frenulum. Frenulum, it is basically the connection through which the tongue, it is attached with the floor of the mouth. So this connection through which the tongue, it is attached with the floor of the mouth, this is called as frenulum. Now at the site of the frenulum, this Wharton duct, it is often here. So this is the second major salivary gland. Now the third major salivary gland, that is about the sublingual glands. Now the first point regarding to this gland, it is actually the smallest salivary glands. So this is basically the smallest salivary gland. The next point, that is about the location where this sublingual gland, it is present. So it is present below the tongue. So that's why it is called as sublingual, because it is present below the tongue. So that's why it is called as sublingual gland. Next point, each gland, if we talk about the weights, so this gland, it is about 2 to 3 gram in weights. So this is about the weight of the sublingual gland. Next point, that is about the ducts. As we know that the salivary gland, that are actually the exocrine gland. It means that the gland have a specialized duct. Now the saliva from these glands is poured into 5 to 15 small duct. Now these 5 to 15 small duct, these are basically called as duct of Ravenous. The name of the duct, this is actually called as duct of Ravenous. So you should have to remember the name of the ducts. So major 3 salivary glands and their duct, you should have to remember these, the name of these ducts. The next point, that is these are from these sublingual gland, there are 5 to 15 these small duct arise. Now these small duct that are actually called as duct of Ravenous. By one larger duct it is arise from this sublingual gland. Now this larger duct it is normally called as Bartholin's duct. So this is basically the name of the duct. While the for the small duct the term Ravenous is used, while for the larger duct Bartholin duct it is used the term for these ducts. Next, about what is the function of salivary gland. As we know that the salivary gland, it is responsible for the secretion of saliva. Now what the function is performed by this saliva? So saliva it is actually as essential digestive juice. So this saliva it is responsible, or it play important role in the digestion, or it possesses a digestive juice. Since it has many functions beside the digestive function, it also perform many functions in our body. It often lead to many inconveniences. So many type of the disorder it will associated with the absence of saliva in the salivary glands. So here some of the important functions are mentioned here. The first function, that is preparation of food for swallowing. So swallowing is actually the movement of food from the mouth into the intestines or into the digestive system. This is normally called as swallowing. How the saliva it is responsible for the preparation of food for the swallowing. Now look at the sentence, when the food is taken into mouth. So when we ingest the food substance, or when we take food into the mouth, this is simply called as ingestion. So when the food it is taken into the mouth, it is moistened. So saliva it is a watery liquids. So it moists the food and dissolved by the saliva. So saliva possesses some substances that will dissolve the food. Now the mucous membrane of the mouth is also moist by saliva. So saliva it also moist the food substance that we ingested. But beside this, it also moisten or lubricate the mouth. So this is the second one. By the movement of tongues, as the tongue continuously moved in our mouth. So by the movement of the mouth, the moistened and masticated food is rolled into a bolus. So this action of the tongue, the food, the moistened and masticated food, it is finally pumped into a bolus. So bolus is actually partially digested food. Now this partially digested food, it is now called as bolus. Mucin of saliva lubricate, it will lubricate the bolus and facilitate swallowing. So by this way it will prepare the food for the swallowing, because for the swallowing the food it must be moistened. So this moisturization it will done by the saliva. So this is the first function of the saliva. Now the second function that is very essential and very important in the digestive system, that is the digestive functions. So saliva has 3 digestive enzymes. Now this saliva it will possess 3 digestive enzymes. So hence the saliva it possesses 3 type of digestive enzymes. So what are these 3 digestive enzymes? So namely that are salivary amylase. This is a digestive enzyme present in the saliva. The second one, that is maltase, and the third one, that is lingual lipase. So we will discuss here each enzyme and detail that what the digestion, what are the function that is performed by this enzyme. So what are the digestive function of this enzyme? The first one, that is salivary amylase. So salivary amylase, it is basically a carbohydrate digesting enzyme. It means that this enzyme, it will act only on the carbohydrates. So and it will digest this carbohydrate. Now it act on cooked or boiled starch. So it will act on these starches and convert into a substance that is called as dextrin and maltose. So finally, when these salivary amylase, it will act on the starch that is cooked or boiled starch, and then this starch, it is converted into a form that is called as dextrin and maltose. So the digestion start in the mouth. So here the first digestion that is start in the mouth. So the carbohydrate digestion, it is actually started in the mouth. So start digestion, it is actually start in the mouth. Major part of it occur in the stomach. So overall the whole digestion, it is mainly occur in the stomach, but here a little bit digestion occur in the mouth because food stay for a short period of time in the mouth. So here the food, it is stored for a temporary period of time. So here that's why a little bit digestion occur in the mouth, but largely the digestion of the carbohydrate, it will occur in the stomach because the food, it is stored for a long period of time. So that's why most of the digestion, it will occur in the stomach. Salivary amylase optimum temperature for this salivary amylase, it is about 6. Optimum pH for this salivary amylase, it is 6. So for 6 pH, it will perform its maximum activity. Now salivary amylase cannot act on cellulose. So salivary amylase, it is basically or especially it will act on the starch, or it will, and it is unable to digest the cellulose. Now the next digestive enzyme present in the saliva, that is about the maltase. So maltase, it is basically present only in the trace. So a little bit it is present in the human saliva. So this is minor or a trace amount, it is present in the human saliva. So what is the function of this maltose? So basically this is an trace amount present, but it will perform the function that is mainly it will convert the maltose. It is actually a disaccharide, and this maltose, it is basically converted into a monosaccharide, that is glucose. So this is actually the basic function of maltase enzyme. So maltase enzyme, it is basically convert the maltose into a glucose. The next digestive enzyme present in the saliva, that is lingual lipase. So as the name indicate, that is lipase, it means that this enzyme, it is basically act on the lipid. So this is actually a lipid digestive enzyme. So this is actually a lipid digestive enzyme. So it digests milk fats. So fat is actually found in the milk, it will digest that fats. It hydrolyzes triglycerides. So it mainly digests this triglyceride into the fatty acids and diacylglycerol. So this is the function of lingual lipase. So basically this is act on the lipid and will convert that lipid. So the most abundant lipid found in our body, that is triglycerides. Now they will act on these triglycerides that is found in the food substances. So they will convert these triglyceride into the fatty acid and diacylglycerol. Next, that is the regulation of body temperature as the main function that we will discuss in this chapter, that is the digestive function. But here the saliva, it will perform some many function in the body. So the third one, that is regulation of body temperature. So this saliva, it is also responsible for the regulation of the body temperature, or you can say that it maintain our body temperature. So here the cattles and dogs, as you see in the figures. So here you can see here the dog, they will come out their tongues. So why they often are come out their tongues? So here they will maintain their body temperature through this way. So as you can see here, so human, the regulation of body temperature, it will occur through sweat gland. but in these cattle and dog, they will maintain their body temperature by panting. So here, in cattle and dog, excessive dripping of saliva during panting. So in these animal, they will come out their tongues. So by this way the evaporation of the saliva occurs. So by this way it will regulate their body temperature. This is normally called as fanting. Now this fanting helps in the loss of heat and regulation of the body temperatures. So by this way these cattle and dog, they will maintain or regulate their body temperature by a simple phenomena that is called as panting. However, in human beings, so human being, they are unable to perform this panting phenomena. But here what, how these human being, they will maintain and regulate their body temperature. So in human beings, sweat gland play a major roles. So through sweat gland we will maintain or regulate our body temperatures, and saliva does not play any role in this function. So by through saliva we cannot maintain our body temperature, but this function in our body, it is performed by the sweat glands. So this is overall about the salivary glands and its function. Thank you so much.